Hey everybody, Nate Jomaa with the Space Coast Real Estate Spotlight, and today we have a special treat. We have the Mariacher Masucci Home Selling Team joining us. Stick around, it's going to be a great show. Michelle and Danielle. So you guys have been friends for over 30 years and you guys sell real estate together. How did you guys get into doing that?
Well, Michelle and her family moved back to our hometown of Merritt Island. And Michelle had been in real estate for many years before and wanted to kind of get back in locally. And I was working for a team and I said, hey, you want to come and join me? And so she did, and then that was it. We just said, hey, we work really well together. We complement each other well. She and I are kind of yin and yang, and it just works. It works.
That's like, awesome.
Yes. He's like, I know.
Awesome. Okay, good deal. So tell us about what your favorite thing about selling real estate is here along the Space Coast.
Do you want to go first?
I think my favorite thing is just being able to share our special little beach town with people that may not know about our little hidden gem here. And really, growing up, I don't know if Danielle feels the same. We really didn't truly appreciate our area for all that it has here, but it's really the best place that I've ever lived. And just listening to people's challenges that they've had with other real estate experiences and different transactions and finding a solution to their problem is really kind of where we shine in taking care of our clients.
Right.
So
we use a solution focused therapy approach almost. That's my background. And I know we like to try to find the problem. If you have a problem, we'll solve it. So we try to, like I said, vanilla ice. So we try to find a solution to the problem for people. When they are coming here, like Michelle said, it's a special place to us, being that we grew up here. We've both moved away. I lived down in Boca Raton for 5 years, came back, and I remember crying the night before I moved back, I don't want to go back to Brevard. And I'm so thankful that I did.
We all come back. We all come back.
But it's a great place to raise our family. We're close to our parents. Both of our parents, thankfully, are still here, and it's just been a blessing. And you obviously can't beat. I was walking my dog this morning, and there's a rocket going off.
Yes.
You just look up, and there it is. So it's a very unique area, and I'm thankful to be from here.
For sure. So. Obviously, you have the vanilla ice approach to your real estate. If there's a problem, you're going to solve it, which is great. So speaking of problems or things that you're going to do to solve problems, what are some common real estate misconceptions that you see? And just talk through some of the ways that you go about resolving those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one most recent, Danielle and I do quite a bit of new construction within Brevard County. We do a lot outside of Brevard County as well, but that you don't need a representative. You don't need your own agent. And what a lot of buyers fail to understand is that the representative working for the builder works on behalf of the builder and may not have the buyer's best interest in mind. So as an agent coming in, representing our buyers, we're able to, negotiate their contracts, because everything's negotiable, right? Making sure that we're, loading the house with all of their wish lists and kind of negotiating from there, and just being that extra person and an advocate for them, helping them pick out different finishes, what recommendations that we would do just to kind of get the most ROI for them for future sale later. And I think,
I think another one too that we see a lot is, we'll be working with people and we try to have a conversation with clients from the very beginning, laying out, this is the home buying process and this is how this works. And, if you go to a open house, you can tell the agent there, hey, I'm working with an agent already. If you are driving by a sign and you see an agent's name and number on there, excellent. Take a picture of it, send it to us. You don't necessarily have to call the listing agent. I mean, obviously, if it's our listing and people call, I mean, we all know, like, we love that. It's like, what do they call it? The birthday payday or something when you double-ended. I mean, it's great. However, you don't have to always call the listing agent. If you're working with an agent, you have the rapport with your agent, you know, unless we've done something horribly wrong and we want to solve it and fix whatever. It's never happened to us in that capacity. But, you know, if you're working with an agent or you're interested in something, you can call the agent that you're working with. You don't have to call the listing agent.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception is, I mean, I've been told it before. Well, gosh, you know, we actually just went directly to the listing agent because we didn't want to pay another commission. And that's what we say. Oh my goodness, actually the sellers, you know, pay the real estate professional fee, not the buyer.
And
so
it doesn't cost anything to use an agent for a buyer.
Correct.
Right. So that I think is huge, because there's a lot of times when I'm doing a pre-approval with somebody, or when I talk with somebody, that they tell me that they are working with that list agent because they wanted to save on commissions and things.
Right.
And I explain to them that there's an opportunity for them to work with whoever they want, but they want to find somebody that they want to work with that's going to represent them and advocate for them. And they don't have to pay for it, because the person that's selling their house has already figured out what they're willing to pay in terms of commission. And then the listing agent attracts buyers by sharing some of that. I don't think a lot of people understand that. So it's a great point.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
we just had an offer on one of our listings, and that's the first thing I asked: are you working with an agent?
Right.
I'm like, well, we were, and then the story comes out, we want to save money, and I'm like, you know what? You actually already started this relationship with your agent. Bring our professional fee is already locked in. We would absolutely love to collaborate with your agent and make sure that we, you know, take care of this transaction and bring a deal together. So
yeah.
We're team players. We like to, you know, we play well in the sandbox. We like playing, you know, if it's our listing, like she said, bring your agent, you know, it's fine. It's, you know, and if someone does come directly to us, I mean, you have the fiduciary responsibility for both parties to, you know, take care of that as a transaction broker, essentially, which, you know, we would do, you know, but that's, like you said, that's a very common misconception. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you guys touched on that, because I definitely wanted to ask about that and make sure that anybody that sees this or hears this podcast understands that they have that ability to find their own agent that can work with them. So
you can always call us too.
You can always call you, right? That's awesome. So what are some current trends that you're seeing as you're representing buyers and sellers in the real estate market? Obviously, we've seen some things change here over the course of the last 12 to 18 months. What are you seeing out there now?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of trends right now.
I think, a few years ago, it was more the white, gray, very sleek, modern. And now it's...
I feel like, you know, if we're talking design trends, we'll start there, you know, because there's lots of different trends in lots of areas. But like for design trends, for example, I feel like people are embracing more, this is, you know, I love this, but it's more of like a maximalist approach in some areas. You know, right now, like the Barbie movies coming out, for example, and like Barbie core is really popular right now.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. So everything's like pink. And I don't know about you, Nate, but like, I always wanted the Barbie dream house when I was growing up. So, so, you know, everything's pink. You have your elevator. But in reality, like everything's very pink and gold and very kind of out there. We've seen, you know, just some people's personalities kind of shine that way. And whether we're seeing that locally here in Brevard, I haven't seen much, but some people will have their bedroom like that, bathrooms, like a fun room. But, you know, in other parts of the country, like people are going all out, like with stuff like that. Cottage core is a big one. I remember when shabby chic was real popular, like Target came out with that line. You know, so it's interesting what's kind of coming out at the moment.
Barbie core. Yeah, definitely not something I've heard of, nor something that I feel like I would be interested in, but interesting. You guys aren't making this stuff up, because it sounds like
it's legit. Like it's true. It's true.
So, my goodness. Okay. So outside of design trends and things like that, what other things do you see happening here along the Space Coast that is trendy right now?
I feel like, people are, and I don't know if this would just be a Space Coast thing. I think it's just in general everywhere. I feel like we're kind of in the Wild West in some instances when it comes to like pricing and kind of where we're at. I feel like there's some listings that are still priced last year's prices, and then buyers that are now they're like, well, it's a buyer's market, so now I'm going to be down here, and then you're way far apart. And trying to get everyone back on the same page, just like we had to educate people. Listen, there's going to be 50,000 offers on this house the first day, and they're all going to be $100,000 over asking. Because a lot of we've heard. I mean, there's a lot of new agents, especially right now, and they tell their clients like, listen, that first price, you've got to go above the asking price, which isn't always the case if you price it appropriately. Like, this is our offering price. It's not the same market that it was. So I feel this like Wild West stance where no one wants to budge is kind of something we're seeing right now.
So interesting that you brought that up, because I kind of feel like that as well. Do you feel, and this is just a personal opinion kind of thing based on your experience and your professional expertise, do you feel that we're trending more toward a buyer having some of the power versus the sellers having all of the power that we've seen over the last year and a half?
Well, I personally don't think. I've worked different real estate markets. It's a cycle. I mean, been practicing now for 19 years. This is a normal market. I think we kind of
like we're back to normal.
This is a normal market. It really is. There's different seasons in real estate. You watch what happens after elections. I mean, everyone tries to work their own angles, right? It's all about pricing homes appropriately and bringing a deal together. And if you're an experienced agent, then you should know how to navigate this market. So I don't really.
Well, and also I think it comes to setting the expectation the very beginning, whether you're working with a seller or you're working with a buyer. So when we're working with sellers, again, we try to say like, listen, the market's going to dictate, let the market speak.
Correct.
If we list this home at this price and there's no activity, everything with this house is excellent. There's no activity, nothing going on, in the first couple of weeks, you can get a pretty good idea of what's happening, so then you make adjustments from there. Same thing with buyers, setting that expectation that, listen, we're going to go in at this, but we can work with this. We can negotiate from here. We can, try to make something come together. We'll do everything we can to make a deal happen. We don't ever want to lose a deal. So, I feel like setting expectations is important. And like Michelle said, we're getting back into a normal market. So you can't just slap your listing up on the MLS and expect it to sell. Like, you actually have to work a little bit and market your property and have an open house. And it might take a couple weeks. It might take a couple months. You just never know.
I think it really boils down to educating the client, making sure that the client knows the full deck of cards. And, if they still want to go this way, hey, absolutely, we'll try your way. However, this is, in my professional opinion, where we should be and what we should do to get you, to this end goal. And really being that professional, right?
Yeah. I think that's huge. One of the things that you've mentioned here a few times is how you educate people. And I think that that's really the difference maker when it comes to working with somebody that understands real estate and wants to do the right thing for their buyers and sellers versus somebody that thinks real estate is an opportunity to jump in, make some money, and then hop out again.
Right.
So the ones that are
that way. Well, not to mention you jump in and then you have to build a pipeline. You've got to sell some stuff. It takes money to make money. I mean, it's a whole.
Right. So that's called emo core. So
that is hardcore.
Decision.
That is hardcore.
It's hardcore emo. So, So, but again, education and having the ability to work with real estate agents and realtors that are able to provide education and not just jump in, kind of muddle through things, figure it out, say, here you go. Those things don't ever work out. So that's huge. I've heard you say that several times today. And I think that's one of the things that definitely sets you apart, is that you look for ways to educate people, to make sure that they understand what they're walking into. You set the expectations with them, and you guys do a great job of doing that.
Thank you.
I know we both have had our own set of experiences in the past with our own home buying purchases and things. So I just, I feel like I wasn't as prepared as I should have been or could have been when I bought my house. And especially when we're working with first-time home buyers, I don't want anybody else to feel like in the dark, like I did. So that's a goal that we have. We're like, we never want anybody to feel alone or uneducated or that they didn't have all the information. And it is something that we temperature check along the way. Like, do you have everything you need? Are you okay? Are you this? So
right.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in the experiences that we've had working together on, real estate sales, I know that you guys are very involved with your buyers and that you always make sure that they understand what to expect. And you do a good job of setting the stage for my role too, as the mortgage guy. So I know that you guys are just really, really good at what you do. One of the things that you talk about, and I want you to kind of unpack and talk about a little bit more for us today, is hustling humbly. What exactly is that?
So I think that way because Michelle and I, neither one of us want to ever like try to outshine the other. Michelle and I are in this together. Even when it came down to our logo, we didn't want one M above the other M because we're like, well, I don't want to be above you. We're together. We're next to each other. We just try to keep our head down, work hard. Like Michelle had said before too, like we play well with others. We don't want our ego in this, we just want to work hard, take care of our clients, take care of our future clients, and set a positive example of what you would get when you're working with us. We want people to have a pleasant experience, like shopping at Publix. It's a pleasure. Working with us should be a pleasure and should not be a stressful experience. It should be fun. It should be light. It is one of the biggest financial decisions people make at a time. And, that's a very daunting experience for people. And we want to try to take the scary out of it. And I feel like by humbling ourselves, and we're like, we wouldn't ask anybody to do anything we wouldn't do ourselves. Like we get in there with people, we ask the questions, we ask the hard things for them and with them. And we just, that's kind of how we feel. Like we try to be as humble as we can.
Yeah, it's not really about, selling someone a home or listing a home. It's more about partnering with our clients. Right. If they're a buyer, like we're holding their hand along the way. We're on that same journey with them because we've been in their shoes before. Same thing with selling a property. We understand the emotional attachments that things, they may have to the home. So we're along the journey with them, and we really strive to build relationships that last throughout the duration of the transaction and afterwards as well. Right. Instead of just thinking of our clients as a number, because we've been, we've seen that and, have been told that. So we really try to operate on a different level. Yeah.
Right.
On a different level and form a true partnership.
Right.
Sure.
With our clients.
Yeah. And it's very easy in this business, in the real estate business, to look at everything as a transaction. But to your point, if you're not looking at it as a relationship and an opportunity to serve somebody, it's going to be a one and done. But if you come through and you do a really good job for somebody and you help them realize their dream of either purchasing their first home or, family's growing and they purchase their next home, they're going to continue to come and see you because it's more about the relationship that you've developed than just that single home sale or home purchase. So that's huge. And I know that you guys really excel at that. So great job.
All of our business has come from past clients, referrals, family, friends.
Sure.
So, it really,
I'm like, that's what, we've never had to buy leads before. We haven't, we've
never been handed leads. We've generated all of our business on our own. So it's all about customer service and obviously taking care of the client. And at the end of the day, they'll take care of us.
Right.
So,
and we like to also be that resource for people to, who do I talk to for a roof? Who do I talk to for, I want someone to come and hang up my curtains. Who's the best hairdresser in town? Where do you get your nails done? We try to establish that kind of stuff along the way, but also we like to continue to be that resource that also opens the conversation for more, like we could be talking about nails and then we're well, what's going on with your house? How are you liking it? How are things? How's your neighbors? So we, it's just a great bonding opportunity, and we like to keep that with our clients.
Yeah. So have you got any advice for somebody that's looking to sell their home and purchase another home and then try to do those two things kind of in unison, a simultaneous close, if you will? Like, what's the best way to approach that as somebody that's selling and buying at the same time?
So that's a super fun process. It really is. It's one of our favorites that we like to do. I feel it's very tricky. It's one of those things, again, you have to really set the expectation clearly from the beginning. We need the funds from this to purchase this. This is what we're doing. This is what has to happen. Steps 1, 2, 3. We really lay it out. You have a lot of moving parts in a transaction like that. We've had sell to buy, like you helped us with the one client, they were moving out of state. We had to navigate, the whole relocation process, everything with working with the lender away, and you helped, facilitate that too. Everything has a step-by-step. So like I said, clearly setting that out. And then also when you're ready to close, say we're getting close to closing day, don't just assume that you're going to be offered like a lease back on the house that you're in until you're ready to move into the next house. Like, make sure you have those things lined up well in advance, like work that in as part of your contract. If we're putting in an offer for another home, we say like, hey, we have this contingency, we're selling this, but we try to work out either a lease back with the people that are moving in, or maybe an early, they can move in early to the new place. None of those things are guaranteed, but always trying to have options and backup plans for things is so important.
And that's why it's really important to choose an agent who's experienced,
right?
Because if an agent's not experienced, they're not going to know how to navigate and pull this together.
Right.
So a lot of our clients, like I said, that's something that we've done. We try to take as much off of our clients and make them feel at ease. And there's a lot of behind the scenes things happening, and they're relying on us as a resource. And we are actually setting up the appointments and making sure that things are so seamless. We actually had a client that they literally house swapped. So we had a client purchasing their dream home and a client downsizing, and they literally purchased each other's homes.
Come on.
And we were able to magically coordinate that for them. But again, it wasn't a headache for them. We handled so much behind the scenes that they're like, how did you girls
We're like Siegfried and Roy.
And we
without the tigers.
Yeah. So we handle that and handle it very professionally and with grace. And at the end, that's kind of where we get our high. We're like, gosh, we did it. Yay.
It was fun.
And it just really, seeing our clients being comfortable and not stressed, because that's the last thing we want for our clients, is to be stressed.
Right.
And it's one of the biggest, assets and transactions that they're doing throughout their lifetime. So we want them to feel at ease and guide them along the way. So
my takeaways from that are that you should not wing it. You should be prepared. You should manage the expectations up front, and you should just be there to guide and support the entire way. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
What do you think? What would you add in there, Nate?
I think you guys nailed it out.
Don't change your job. Don't buy a new car.
Yeah.
Don't get a boat.
Yeah, good night.
Unless you're living in it. Just kidding.
How many times, and you guys have probably heard me share this with you before. We've commiserated about this, I'm sure. How many times do you tell somebody not to do certain things, and then they go and do it anyway? And we've got to scramble to find a way to make it work. I can think of one scenario in particular, Danielle, where we had somebody that was buying a home, and then we found out in the 11th hour that they had changed jobs, and we all had to go, all hands on deck to make sure it worked out. And fortunately it did, but it adds a lot of stress too.
But I think too that there's a misconception with that though, because in talking with that client, I know what you're talking about. The thought process behind them was, well, I still have a job and I'm making more money in this job, but tell us that you're switching. That's great. That's awesome. Maybe we can get you a better deal. Like maybe we can figure something else out. But we got to know, because when we call your job and they say you don't work there, that's a problem. So, you're right. I think that's part of the conversation we have. But, I practice on one 9-year-old at home that I tell him something to do and he does what he wants. And you have 3 that you practice on too. So we've got a lot of practice with this. We got this.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that I can say about all human interactions is that sometimes you have great interactions where you tell somebody this is the way to do it and you manage the expectations with them. And then 180 degrees to the other side, you have somebody you tell, don't do this, and they walk away and smile, and then they do the exact thing you asked them not to do. So there's a lot of juggling and a lot of there's just a lot of expectations that we have to have of other people to follow our advice as well.
Right.
But
we navigate that too. If it happens, we will figure it out.
For sure. Absolutely. So we're filming this in mid-January, coming into holidays that, we're going to start to see. So our next holiday up is going to be Valentine's Day. What are some things that somebody can do to accentuate their house for a listing if they want to attract buyers and have like maybe a Valentine's Day theme or something like that?
We like to say, for Valentine's Day, it's an opportunity to love on your home.
Yeah.
So give your home back some love, like some common things that come up in inspection reports would be, your AC coils are filthy, clean your AC coils, get them clean. You should do it anyway. So you're not breathing that in and having a problem, you should do it anyway, but, clean your AC coils, maybe pressure wash your driveway. Just taking care of some maintenance things that your home, this is where you live, whether you're planning on selling it or it's your forever home, show your home a little bit of love, not just for Valentine's Day, but like all year long. Take care of where you live and your home takes care of you. So whether that's taking care of you, if that's your home forever and it keeps you safe and there's no mold or leaks or anything like that, your home keeps you safe, or it takes care of you when you sell it, because if you've maintained it and shown it love and cared for it all this time, then you're going to have a higher return on your investment. So show your house some love.
First impressions are everything with the house. So we always, Danielle and I have a checklist that we give to our sellers, such as, pulling the weeds in your plant beds, freshly mulching, as Danielle mentioned, pressure washing your driveway, making sure there's not mold, on the side of your house, low pressure, clean your home.
It's like your house, when you're listing your house, it's like you're putting your house up for a date, right? So before we go on a date, like I brush my teeth. That would be like give a fresh coat of paint. I paint my nails, I do my hair. Like you do all of those things if you're going to be putting yourself out there on the market. And it's the same with your house. If you're putting your house out there on the market, you want it to be fresh and nice and look good. And, you want to attract all the boys to your yard or girls. Right?
I like that analogy. I like that analogy. I love how maybe it's not by mistake, but it seems just so natural that you've integrated like a lot of pop culture and music and lyrics into this talk today. So I appreciate that.
Nate, you and I, that's our thing. We're
Danielle's like a jukebox.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring all the buyers to the yard. All the buyers to the yard.
That's it. So yeah, I love that approach and just the way that you drew a parallel between when you get yourself ready to market, yourself, you're going on a date or you're starting a new relationship with somebody. It's first impressions matter. If you showed up to that date and your hair's a mess and you're wearing dingy clothes and you didn't brush your teeth, it's not going to go well. There's same for the house that you're trying to sell.
Yeah. Right?
Blocked. No contact contract.
Right. Exactly. So that makes a ton of sense. That's perfect. So you guys have touched on it a lot over the course of the chat this afternoon, but why would somebody want to reach out to the Mariacher Masucci Home Selling Team to be their representative, whether they're buying or selling versus going to anyone else, that could sell their house or even list it for themselves? FSBOs.
I mean, there really is no other choice. You get 2 agents for one. We, as Danielle had mentioned earlier in the podcast, we're very yin to yang.
Yeah.
So we both have our strengths that we are very, we honed in, we're very well at. So
Michelle's analytical with her numbers. She's very black and white. She's very to the point. And then I'm, over here talking about music and painting your house. And we're talking about how we can put your house ready for the market to go on a date. So, we kind of cover all the bases, like she said.
We're like one super agent.
You guys are a real estate mullet.
Yeah.
A mullet? Oh, business in the front and party. Thanks, Nate. I got a great visual.
Yeah. So
that's me.
Yeah, but it's just really every transaction is so different. So with all of our years of experience, combined, I think we have 24 years of experience, if not more. We've been in certain situations. We know how to handle things. With grace, we know a lot of people. We were born and raised here in Brevard County. So our network is really wide. We love collaborating without ego with a lot of our other agents that we're working with. We're known as not mean girls, so to speak. And really just being able to navigate any deal. So anything, we lean on each other. If we come up with something like, hey girl, what do you think about this? What's your angle? What's your perspective? And just really being able to get it to that finish line, which is our end goal.
Right. Well, that's awesome. For sure. So I have a couple of questions to kind of go over in closing, and then we'll get to a fun, why do you love Brevard County or Space Coast to start with. But what do you think is the single most important thing, if you were just to pick one thing as a home buyer, so you're going to buy a home, when it comes to selecting what home that you're going to buy, and I'm going to unpack that a little bit more. Do you think that it's more important to look for some idealistic stuff like I want 4 bedrooms, I want 3 bathrooms, I want a swimming pool, I want a white picket fence, or do you think it's more important to look at that in terms of it's going to be a short-term stay, a long-term stay? Like what is more important, I guess, since now we're having to reconsider property prices and interest rates. There's a lot of conversations I'm having from the mortgage perspective where people are having to consider other homes that they may or may not have been considering before because it either fits in their budget or it just makes more sense for them. So is it more important as a real estate agent, you giving guidance to somebody that they purchase their ideal home, or they purchase a home that they know they may be in long-term or short-term? Or maybe I didn't ask that question right, but I hope you understand what I'm asking.
I know what you're saying. I feel like, we like to try to marry the two, essentially. When we're first working with buyers, we say like, what's your wish list? What is everything? If you could have everything on this list, what would you have? Also, how handy are you? Do you want to be doing work in the house or not? How are you around a big mess where your kitchen's being ripped apart for months at a time? Like, how do you handle that kind of a situation? Because then that kind of determines, all right, well, we need to find something that's a little more ready to go, done. And then we also try to look at the buyer's finances, like what financial situation are they in? A lot of first-time home buyers, they don't have money to put in a new roof. They don't have the money to put in, a new AC and things like that. So for them, finding a home that, maybe it doesn't have a 3-car garage and a pool, but it has a brand new roof, AC, all of the things that are like the big ticket items, that would be a better investment for them. And they could, if they are going to stay long-term, they can put a pool in down the line, so we try to see what their goal is. What do they want? And then, being fiscally responsible, not putting yourself in a hole. You don't want to be house poor. You want to be able to enjoy your home and not be like, man, I wish that I could have people over to enjoy this amazing house I have, but I can't afford to buy hot dogs, So that's something that I feel we try to take into consideration. And that's something we kind of do inherently. Like we just do that. I feel like that's not even a question. We just kind of know when we're working with a client. So did I answer it?
You did, for sure. I'm so happy that my ramble actually made sense to you, because I was thinking, I know what I was asking, but I certainly didn't ask that question.
Well, I'm like ADD. I can track everything that you're getting. I'm like,
Awesome.
I put it all together.
That's why we get along and we work together so well, because you get it.
I get it.
Yes. Okay. Very cool. So I ask all of our guests one question, and I want you guys to answer as individuals, not as a home selling team. So either personal or professional. What is your favorite thing about working and living on the Space Coast?
You go first. Put you on the spot.
It's our hometown. Really having our roots here. Mm-hmm. You know, I lived in Orlando for many, many years, over a decade. It's still 45 minutes away. We have so many cool things here. Everyone's wanting to vacation here, right? So there's different attractions. And we kind of, what is it, like, love where you live.
We live where you vacation.
Yeah, like I grew up fishing in the Indian River Lagoon. I grew up getting clams. My parents are just throwing me in the river.
Get those clams, Michelle.
And clam digging with a big pillowcase. You know, I have those memories here, and it's so wonderful to be able to share those memories with my kids. Right. Watching, you know, the shuttle launches, and now watching the rocket launches. It's like, Mommy, the house is shaking, and just the nostalgia that's really here. Yeah. And my parents are here, seeing, you know, previous classmates, and now they're growing families, and actually being able to help them transition with our business. I really think it's so special to be able to be here and actually give back to our community that just gave so much to us growing up, really. And that's what makes it so special for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I concur. I mean, I'll add a little bit more to that. You know, I feel the same way. You know, my parents are from New York and New Jersey, and, you know, my dad hates the cold and like gets anxiety when he goes home and loves being here. And I didn't understand the dynamic. Like, my parents, I didn't grow up being thrown into the river to get clams. Like, I was pushed in a dance studio, you know, so, which I loved, but I was raised differently, like not on the water, not doing all those, but I was doing other things. And I was at the theater, and I was, you know, we'd go to Orlando for that. But like Michelle said, it's less than an hour away. We were at the theater. We were, you know, going to see shows. We were, you know, listening to live music. My dad's always been in a band. So like our music scene is really big here. I was always in productions and performances. So, you know, community theater and dancing. So that was strong even almost 40 years ago here. And it's only even better, you know, all of these things with the more and more people that are moving here and coming. I feel like there's more money and more resources and things being put into our community. Mm-hmm. Also with the schools, you know, there's we're big advocates for, you know, the education system, mm-hmm. whether it's public school, private school, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, we both have children in that system. So we want to make sure that that aspect is great also. And I used to work for the college here, BCC, or Eastern Florida State now, but you know, all of our schools, from the time the kids are in, you know, daycare all the way through college, you know, whether they go to BCC or FIT, you can take UCF classes here. I mean, you're covered. So, you know, education, music, leisure, water sports, vacation, like everything is here. You know, we try to keep up with the Economic Development Commission and kind of see what companies and businesses are moving here and what is happening, what's coming up on the Space Coast, because we love to share that with our clients too. So I think it's important to love where you live. And I think that passion comes through when we're working with people and talking about it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So what are some ways that people can get in touch with you guys if they have other questions about real estate, about living here on the Space Coast, or if they want to buy or sell their house and they want to reach out to you? What's the best way for them to do that?
They could always call us or text us at our phone number, which is 321-635-2236. Or they could send us an email if they prefer to send us an email, which is hello@mariachermasucci.com, or just on our social media. Both of us are on there. Our personal pages, Michelle Mariacher,
Danielle Masucci. Even if you just type in like Danielle Michelle real estate, you find us. We're there.
Right. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for chatting with us this afternoon. I think I learned a lot. I know that anybody that watches this or listens to this is going to learn a lot. And I just really appreciate you guys coming on and look forward to getting back together and doing it again very soon.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Nate.
you, Nate. We appreciate you. Hope you
right,
have a
thanks.
great day. Bye.